Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So, Crimson Desert just pushed out a new hotfix, and this one is already rolling out across the major platforms. The biggest fix here is probably the one players are going to notice immediately if it was affecting them. There was an issue where, in certain situations, the loading screen would just hang around too long, or the game would drop you into a black screen when loading save data. That kind of problem is the sort of thing that can make a session feel completely broken, even if everything else is fine. So, getting that addressed is a pretty big quality of life improvement. It is not the kind of flashy change that changes how the game plays, but it absolutely matters because nothing kills momentum faster than sitting there wondering whether your save is going to load properly or whether you are about to get stuck staring at a black screen. This patch also clears up a separate housing issue where indoor features were not showing up in housing mode under some conditions. So that is another one that should make life easier for people who like building and decorating without weird menu problems getting in the way. There are also a couple of platform-specific fixes in here, and those are the ones that stand out because they are tied to certain hardware setups. On AMD systems, the team fixed a graphical issue that could show up when enabling Ray Regeneration on a Radeon RX 9070 XT or higher card. That sounds like the sort of bug that would be especially frustrating if you are trying to use higher end settings and the game starts looking wrong the second you turn a feature on. On Mac, they also fixed the crash that could happen when MetalFX Denoising Upscaler was enabled, which is another one that is just straight up disruptive if it hits you at the wrong time. So for AMD players and Mac players in particular, this hotfix is doing a lot of the quiet behind the scenes work that keeps a game feeling stable instead of finicky. What I also like about this notice is that it feels focused. It is not one of those updates that tries to do everything at once. It is just trimming down a few rough edges, making sure save loading behaves better, cleaning up the housing feature bug, and fixing those platform specific headaches before they turn into bigger complaints. That is usually a good sign because it means the team is paying attention to the stuff that actually interrupts play rather than just stacking on more content for the sake of having a long patch note. And even though the notice keeps things pretty brief, it still makes clear that the patch is being rolled out across all platforms. So the deployment is not limited to one storefront or one console family. If you are on Mac and do not see it yet, the notice says the Mac rollout is still in progress. So that is not necessarily a sign that something is wrong on your end. It is just one of those staggered releases that happens sometimes. At the same time, they are not pretending everything is perfect after this hotfix. The notice still points players toward a separate known issues page, which is basically the game's way of saying that this patch fixes several problems, but there's still more cleanup happening in the background. That is pretty normal for a live game update, especially when you're dealing with different platforms, different graphics setups, and a bunch of places where one small change can have unexpected side effects somewhere else. So the big takeaway here is simple. This is a practical stability patch, not some massive content drop, and that is exactly why it matters. It is there to smooth out loading, keep a few system-specific bugs from causing trouble, and make sure the game feels a little less temperamental when you boot it up and jump back in. For a hotfix, that is really the whole point, and this one seems aimed right at the stuff that was actually getting in the way.